Hey everyone, Shane here with etrailer.com. Today I have a 2017 Chevrolet Traverse, and I'm going to walk through how to install Roadmaster base plate. Base plate is going to attach to the chassis of the vehicle to give you a solid connection point for your tow bar. It's going to be a steel construction. It's going to have a black powder coat finish. It's going to stay looking nice for a really long time. Our base plate is going to be one of the 6 main components needed to flat tow your Chevy Traverse behind your motorhome. The other 5 are going to be your tow bar, which is your connection point between your motorhome and the base plate on your vehicle. Safety cables, which is going to be a secondary safety device. Your wiring, which is going to allow the motorhome to transfer light signals to the vehicle so that everybody knows what you're doing, whether that's turning, braking, driving at night. Braking system, which allows the vehicle while it's being flat towed to not only slow but stop itself, so we're not relying on the motorhome to slow and stop both vehicles, because let's face it, motorhome brakes are expensive to replace. The other 2 components are going to be fuse bypasses. In order to drive this vehicle in tow mode or to tow it in tow mode, it requires 3 fuses to be pulled. The 2 fuse bypasses make it easy, so that all you have to do is push a button and it bypasses those fuses. When we're not towing the vehicle, then we're going to have removable tabs. Simply pull the pin, twist, you remove the tab, and you can see it maintains a nice clean look on the front of the vehicle. These are going to be our safety chain loops, large openings that are going to accommodate safety chain loops for towing vehicles. With your removable arms, the pin is going to be spring loaded. So as I mentioned, when you want to remove it, you pull this twist and slide it out. When you want to put it back in, you simply slide it in until that pin collapses, twist, and it pops into place. Now in my personal opinion, I really like this base plate. I like the removable tabs that are on it, and it's going to work with Roadmaster tow bars. Now, some tow bars are going to come with a crossbar, which is a quick disconnect crossbar. If you want to use that with this base plate, you can. However, it will require you to pick up different tabs, and you can find those here at etrailer. Now, if you have a tow bar that doesn't have the crossbar, a Roadmaster tow bar, the way you would connect it is once you have your tabs in place, you slide the arm out. You're going to feed that in right in between those plates. You simply insert the pin. Put it in the clip, hook up your safety cables, your wiring, the other side, set your car in tow mode, and you're basically ready to go. As far as the installation process, pretty simple and straightforward. Fascia is going to have to be removed. Once you remove the fascia, I highly recommend installing any of your other components that you're going to be using to flat tow while the fascia is off, because it's going to be much easier to run any wiring or anything like that. And then when you go to put your fascia back on, it's easier to trim around everything all at one time. Other than that, let's go ahead and walk through how to get it installed. To start our installation, we need to remove this plastic panel on the top. We're going to have some push pin fasteners we need to remove. You can use a trim panel tool, screwdriver. We're going to have 10 of them. You're going to have 1 here in the corner, here, a couple in the middle, there, and then a couple over on that side. Doesn't matter really where you start. What you're going to do is you're going to pry up the center. There's a little notch, and pry at the center, and then pull the base out. Right here in the corner, you're going to have this rubber seal. You're going to pull it off this panel on each side, and then we're just going to lift it out and set it aside for now. Then we're going to take a T20 Torx bit. We're going to remove 7 bolts that run across the top of our grill. Next, on each side of the vehicle, we're going to take our T20 Torx bit. You're going to have a screw here. Right down about the middle of the tire, we're going to have another one here. You need to remove both of those. Then you're going to pull your wheel well liner out. You're going to have a 7mm bolt right up here in the corner. Then we're going to take our T20 Torx bit on the underside of the vehicle. We're going to have one here and one here on each side that we need to remove. Now this vehicle, it looks like they were taken out, but you're also going to have a bolt that you need to remove here on each side. Before we start pulling the fascia off, what I like to do is where this front fascia meets the fender, I like to put tape right along these two wedges, because as we take it off and we go to put it back on, we're going to be watching the center as well as the sides, and if this comes up and meets here, you could potentially chip the paint, and we don't want to do that. So take some painter's tape and just line that edge. Next, with the next set of hands, we're going to start removing our fascia. At the top, you're just going to pull up and pop the grill off the little tabs. You're going to come over to the corner, and you're going to pull out. You want to make sure you don't just pull the fascia off, because we're going to have to disconnect the wiring for our fog lights. You're going to pull this red tab out. It's a lock tab. Push on this gray tab here. And then for the bottom one, you're going to pull out on the wings. Just like that. We'll have one on each side. On each side of our bumper beam, we're going to remove the 10mm head bolt and the 4 15mm head bolts. For these, if your impact won't get them off, if you take a wrench, loosen them up first, you can use your impact to remove them all the way. On the passenger side, before you remove your last bolt, there's going to be a pushpin fastener here. You need to remove that. These are going to be the same as the 2 or the 10 ohm that you had on the top. And where the wiring is attached right there on the fascia, or on the bumper beam, I'm sorry. Then you'll have another fastener right over here on the driver's side. I'm sorry, the passenger side. Your ambient temperature sensor is going to look like this. The bumper beam, and at the bottom there's a little bracket. This is supposed to mount to that bracket, except this was already hanging off. So just keep that in mind when you go to pull your bumper beam off, just don't pull it off. Next, 3 bolts on your subframe. We're going to remove the 2 lower ones on each side. We're going to use a 15mm socket. Next, we're going to take a little bit of red Loctite. Go ahead and install it on the threads of the 2 bolts you just removed. And we're going to use red Loctite on any hardware that we're going to be installing from here on out for our base plate. You're going to have a bracket that looks like this. On one end, there's just going to be holes. On the other end, they're going to be weld nuts. You want to make sure the weld nuts are facing up. We're going to take the hardware we just removed with the Loctite on it, put it into place, and we're only going to hand tighten our hardware. We're going to repeat that same thing on the other side of the vehicle. We'll get our main receiver brace in place. We want to make sure it's facing the correct direction. We're going to take our factory bolts that we removed from our bumper core, make sure there's red Loctite, and we're going to install those and the same holes that we removed them from. We'll get one on each side. That'll hold our receiver brace, main receiver brace up in place, and then we can install our remaining hardware. Next, we're going to have 4 hex bolts. You want to put on a lock washer. Again, make sure you're using Loctite. They're going to go into the bottom 2 holes where we install these brackets, through the main receiver brace into the bracket. Next, we're going to take our ambient temperature sensor. We're going to reinstall it in the little holder that is on your bumper beam. And then we're going to zip tie it right here to our cross brace. There's a little hole right here on the top. Just like that. Once you have everything installed, you're going to come back, tighten all of your hardware down. Once you have everything tight, you're going to come back and torque it all to the specifications listed in the instructions. Once you have all of your hardware torqued to the specification in the instructions, it's a good idea, if you're installing any other components, install them now while the fascia is off. It's going to make it a lot easier for running your wires or any hoses or anything like that. Other than that, if you're not, you can reinstall your fascia in reverse order from the way you took it off. Keep in mind you are going to have to trim around all the components that are going to be up here in the front of the vehicle. That's going to do it for a look at and installation on the Roadmaster base plate kit on a 2017 Chevrolet Traverse.